Majority Leader Thune, thank you very much for being here. I'd like to start. I want to get your reflections on what happened at that meeting, at the lunch. But Chad raises important questions there. Should it be the president that is directly involved in helping to move this ball forward, and why is that not happening?
Well, good afternoon, Martha. And the president would do that after they open up the government. I talked to him last night, and he's willing to sit down next week with the Democrats in his office to talk about a path forward on dealing with the unaffordability and unsustainability of Obamacare, but not while they hold the government hostage. So they vote to open up the government. The president sits down with them. I don't know what more do they want. That seems to me to be giving them exactly what they're asking for, as a chance to negotiate on these things. The thing that they want right now is they think that it's all about political leverage. And they are afraid of their far left base, the people who marched here during the No Kings rally, groups like MoveOn.org and Indivisible, who are calling the shots. They are the tail wagging the dog. The Democrat leadership is petrified of these groups. And so they are not moving at all right now. But we have made it very clear that we, Speaker and I and others, are willing to have discussions about health care and other issues, as is the President of the United States. Open up the government and we can have that conversation.
So it's interesting. You said you spoke to the president last night. He's in the middle of all of these travels, obviously, in Japan this morning, heading to huge discussions with President Xi in China. So all of that is very important to the economy. I'm curious, though, what he said to you, because he always says, you know, I make deals. I've made deals all my life. So did he say to you, Leader Thune, and he's praised you on your handling of many things, did he say, just hold firm? Do not do anything. Do not start doing these piecemeal bills in order to get certain things reopened. What was his advice to you, Leader?
Well, I don't always characterize my conversations with the president, Martha, except to say that, yes, I mean, I think he believes that, you know, you can't take a hostage like federal employees, like the federal government, and like SNAP benefits for literally 40 million people in this country, and use that to try and get all these ancillary things, these policy things that they're trying to do. You know, $1.5 trillion in new spending, you know, free healthcare benefits for people who are non-citizens in this country. Those are things on the Democrat wish list. He's saying open up the government with a clean, nonpartisan CR that's passed in the House over a month ago now, sitting at the desk in the Senate. We could pick it up and pass it today. All we need is 5 more Democrats, send it to the White House, it gets signed into law, the government reopens, the president sits down, and we talk about these health care issues the Democrats want to negotiate on. That's basically what he has put forward. That's what we've been putting forward for a long time. And it seems to be, at some point, the Democrats have to take yes for an answer.
I want to play this from Senator Chris Coons, and we played earlier from Catherine Clark, Congresswoman Catherine Clark, and there's a familiar theme that we hear here. Watch this.
The consequences of the so-called Big Beautiful Bill in terms of throwing millions of Americans off of health care in the coming years is something that Democrats consider a crisis. Frankly, this is our only moment of leverage, and although a very unpleasant tool to use, it's gotten us focused on what we have to do to change direction on health care.
Your thoughts?
Well, you know, again, and it does. It echoes what was said last week by Catherine Clark, you just mentioned, who basically said, you know, this is going to be really painful and unpleasant for families across this country, but it's our key point of leverage. They're looking at this like it's some sort of political game, and where, you know, where there are winners and losers of the political game, whereas we look at this as real impacts on real families and people in the country.
Well, it does.
And it becomes more real, and the consequences become more real over time. I mean, what they just said, they said the quiet part out loud. Yeah. These people are looking at this as a political game, Martha, and it's not.
Let me play this. Talk about real people and the impact. This is Sherry Jablonski. She's a SNAP benefits recipient. She's a widow. She's retired, and her income comes from Social Security and pension from her husband. And here's what she had to say on this. Watch.
I usually have my mother over for Thanksgiving, and I don't even know how I'm going to do that. There's no way I can afford a turkey and to cook extra stuff here. There's no way I can do it. You really didn't think this through very well. You really didn't. You all get paid. We don't.
I mean, I want to get your reaction to her larger thought. Obviously, we are headed towards Thanksgiving. A lot of people do rely on some of these funds because they're in, different financial situations like she is. She's a widow. At the end there, though, she said something that I brought up with you before, and it's that thing that I think nags at a lot of people. How come Congress, which is shut down, is not getting paid, is getting paid, while other people are not?
Yeah. Well, my staff isn't getting paid, nor is anybody here who works in the Capitol. And I sent a letter to dispersing. I'm not getting paid either, Martha, just to set the record straight.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is, people like her are the people who get hurt by this. And on Friday, federal employees missed a check. Monday, yesterday, you had air traffic controllers who are missing their check. You got these SNAP recipients out there. The 40 million or so families are going to be impacted by this by the weekend. This is just insanity. And the Democrats have got to come to their senses and realize that while they may view this as leverage and look at a ledger of who's winning, who's losing in the political world, this is the real world we're talking about here. And in the real world, people are hurting. And this is going to be a painful, painful time. And it can be simply remedied today, getting 5 courageous Democrats with a backbone to join us and vote in the Senate today to open up the government. The president would sign that bill into law.
Let me ask you about that, because just very quickly, that number 5 has been the number since the beginning. And I know you must be having back channel discussions with several of these Senate Democrats. Is it your sense that you are near a roll point here?
Well, I think there are people who are sincerely want to get this figured out on the Democrat side.
That they're ready? They're about ready?
There are, and of course the challenge is the Democrat leadership could care less about this, and Chuck Schumer, they're in a box. They, like I said, they are running scared of the far left in this country right now, and that characterizes a whole bunch of Senate Democrats too. But there are some rank and file Democrats, I believe, and we have had, as you said, back channel conversations that have been going on for some time that have intensified here of late, and hopefully that will lead to a breakthrough. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take rank and file Democrats who organically come to the conclusion that this doesn't make sense for them, politically long term for them either. I don't think this is a winning issue when you shut the government down.
I know that you have always wanted things to happen in regular order, to deal with budget issues in a timely manner, to resolve all of this. And, I think that is something that people really need to think about, because there's no reason for us to come to these cliff hanging CR things where we just keep pushing it, kicking the can down the road over and over and over again on how we run the biggest, federal government, most powerful country in the world. But we'll continue that another day. Majority Leader Thune, thank you very much.
Thanks, Martha.
Good to see you, sir.
You too.